Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I am the Director of Support for BNI Connect here in the United States in Rhode Island, where I'm also a Director and a 11-year member. On the line with us today, we also have the Business Analyst for this particular portion of the project, which is Meaghan Chitwood. She's an Executive Director in Northern Alabama, where she has been for how long, Meaghan?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years in July.
And for those that are familiar with traffic lights, and I do know that we have a number of directors on the call as well, Meaghan is proud to have been scored 100 on her traffic lights this past time around. So we're very happy to have her involved with the project as well. I do know that we also have a couple of other people from the team on the line that I would like to mention. I believe Tammy Prevost is here. She is the Director of Testing. So she's the one that goes through with her team and goes through all the new functionality and looks for bugs and basically tries to break it before we let everybody onto the software. We also, I think, have Larry Brand, who is on the support team as well. So let's get started with today's webinar. What we're going to be talking about today is the new functionality that will be coming out October 29th. So in just a couple of weeks, there's some very, very important changes that are happening in the system. The first of which will be a new landing page. So right now, what you're seeing on the screen is the existing landing page. So what you see when you log into BNI Connect today. And in just a second, I'll show you what you're going to see in BNI Connect when you log in for the first time on October 29th. So that's just a couple of Mondays from now. Also, the ability to pass slips so that we can record electronically all of the slips that we pass in the meeting. We'll be able to start tracking those and passing them online through BNI Connect. So I'm going to show you those couple of functions. As we're going through, you're welcome to ask questions. What I'd say is if you could hold off asking some of the questions until we get most of the way through the webinar, because I do know that most of those questions hopefully will be answered as we go through things. But there should be plenty of time at the end to answer any questions that you might have about the new functionality, and or if you have questions in general about anything, we'd be happy to answer those questions as well. So let's take a peek. The first time you log in on the 29th, what you're going to see is this. And this is our test system that we're looking at now. So just keep in mind a couple of things. Some things may change slightly before the 29th, maybe some things as they're written on the screen. But for the most part, this is what you'll see. And you'll notice there's some very fundamental changes on this screen that are new. The first of which is right up here at the top, you'll see a whole new section. And what this is going to show you your history. So this goes back through all of the POMS report from the last 12 months and from your lifetime in BNI, and pulls all the numbers out. So all of your referrals, all of your thank you for closed business, all of the referrals given, visitors, one-to-ones, and CEUs will all be reported right here for you. So you don't have to go into the reports and do searches. All of that information will be right there for you to look at first glance as soon as you log into the system. Along the top here, you'll see that we've also reorganized the top of this page. And you'll see very easy for you to update your status in BNI Connect right through here, and a nice big bold save button to be able to save it. And then access to some of the common functions that you use to manage your profile. So changing your password, updating your profile or your BNI page, changing your photo, and updating your privacy settings. Now, all of these things will always still be available through this My Account button up in the upper right-hand corner. But this gives you a one-click access to these functions as well. And along the left, you'll also see a number of new shortcut buttons. Now, depending on your level of access in the system, what you'll see is the different levels that you have access to. So the My BNI Business, this is what's going to show up first, that has all of this information, as well as the information that allows you to enter the online slips, which we'll get into in just a couple of seconds. But you'll also see some other menus here. And I do see a question that's pertinent right now, and it says from Leslie, she says, if you change chapters, will it also show your lifetime stats? And yes, that is also a major improvement that we have in this particular version. You will be able to see your lifetime statistics for any chapter that you are in. So we were able to go back into the system and stitch together all of those different memberships as long as they're associated with you as a user. If you've changed chapters or if you left BNI and came back again, we will be able to pull those statistics together for your lifetime statistics. So yes, excellent question, Leslie. Thank you. So you'll also notice on the left here a number of new shortcut menus. And what these are designed to do is to make it easier to get into the functions that you use most often. And you can see we have a My Business, which is this particular screen here. We have a My Network, which is all the different social media aspects within BNI Connect. And if you notice, this is really the existing screen that we had. But then you'll also see some other ones here that says Chapter, Region, Country, and HQ. And depending on what your level of access is will depend on which of these that you see. If you are a member, you'll see this Chapter menu. If you happen to be a director consultant or an executive director on the call, you'll be able to see Region. If you're a national director, you'll see Country, and if you work at headquarters, you'll see that level as well. What these menus are, though, is a customizable menu for you so that you can make easy the functions that you use on a regular basis right at your fingertips. We've taken back the feedback over the past 18 to 20 months, and people have said, well, you know, I'm not sure whether I should go into network or if I should go into operations or if I should go into reports or I should go into admin. I don't know where to find things. Well, now you can organize them the way that you want them to make them easier to find. So you notice here I have on my shortcut menu just a couple of things. Now, if I go and click Configure, what this will do is allow me to create a shortcut list for whichever functions that I want. You'll see this is my list over here on the left, and over here on the right is all of the functions that are available to me. So if I want to put something in the list, I just have to check it off. So let's say I'm a secretary-treasurer, and I'm going to be constantly using the speakers report. Or I might be on the leadership team and I want to go in and check the goals often. I can pull all of this information over into this list. And what's even better is that you can order this list the way you want it to. So let's say that we're in the beginning of the term and I'm going to be working with the goals extensively. I'm going to take this and put it all the way at the top of my list so that that will be the first thing that shows. Once I save these changes, and I'm going to go back out to the other menu, you'll see that my list has now changed. It added the things that I added, and I put the goals right at the top. So now I'm basically one click away from doing the most common functions that I would be using most often. So now let's get into the heart of the matter, and that is the online slips program. So going back to my BNI business page, we'll see that we have the ability to enter the 4 different types of slips that we pass at the meeting. Thank you for closed business, referrals, one-to-ones, and CEUs. Now, when I click on the slips, you'll notice that it looks pretty much exactly like the slip that we pass in the meeting. And for example, I click on the thank you for closed business. Now, we're just going to fill out the slip like we normally would with pencil and paper. I'm going to select somebody from my chapter, and this will list all of the active people in my chapter. So let's say that I want to thank Michael Ferry, who's an orthodontist in my chapter, for a referral in the amount of $5,000. It was new business, outside business, and it was for recent work at neighboring office. Now once I submit this, a couple of cool things happen. Number one, it gets put onto special reports that only I have access to so that I can track this for myself. But for all you VPs, I'm not sure how many VPs we have on the line with us today, but that number just got entered into the POMS report for the week automatically, which should ease the workload for vice presidents worldwide. Now let's take a look at a couple of these other slips that we can enter. We can enter the referrals as well. So if I have a referral for somebody, I'm going to go ahead and select the person. So let's say I have a referral for Jane Dyer in my chapter, and the referral is going to be John Doe. You select whether it's an inside or an outside referral. Again, the same check boxes that are on the slips now, whether you would like to give, whether you've given them your card or told them they would call, what the address is, the phone number, email address, and any comments. Oops, apparently I can't type today. Rate the referral 1 through 5. We can save and do another one right away, or we can submit it and go back to the screen. And yes, to answer, just saw a question here. The red dots are mandatory pieces of information. So you do have to put in the referral name, and if you're worried about privacy concerns, we do have some people that may have some privacy concerns. You could put something like anonymous in here, or you could put details withheld or something along those lines. And that way you can still record the referral, but if you do need to keep that sensitive information private. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this one. Now, a cool thing happens when you do the referral slips, and that is that the other person gets notified via email immediately. So in this case, Jane Dyer, who I passed a referral to, would have gotten an email in her inbox letting her know about this referral, and it goes to her live email address. So whatever email address is in her profile, it goes out of the system and into her email. I passed myself a referral a couple of minutes before the webinar, logging in as a member for my chapter. And here's what that notification looks like right now. And that is, let me know that on today, Brian Fish sent me a referral. And here are the details. Who did he refer me to? Oscar Wilde. It was an outside referral. Gave me that person's address, the phone number, the email, told me that my card was given to him, and any comments about the person. It was rated as a 3 referral. And it also reminds me of Mr. Brian Fish's contact information, how to get in touch with him in case I need to follow up on this referral as well.
Okay, Jeremy, we've got burning questions.
All right. So,
let's go ahead and answer the question. How do we keep from ensuring that there are not duplicates? Or a couple things. One, do members need to fill out slips after that they have put this in? And then how do we avoid duplication?
Cool. All right. There's two-part question there. So when we get to the meeting, one thing that we want to be absolutely clear about is that we still want to talk about our referrals. We still want to talk about our thank you for closed business. We still want to talk about our one-to-ones and announce our CEUs. All of that stuff should still absolutely 100% take place in the meeting. Now, turning in slips for all this information, if you've already passed it online, would be somewhat redundant. So especially for the thank you for closed business, the one-to-ones, and the CEUs, there's probably no need to turn a physical paper slip in at the meeting. Now, what we've done in the system is we've generated what's called a personal meeting activity report. So this is one option for you to be able to turn stuff in at the meeting. So let's take a look at personal activity. And this would be for this upcoming meeting. And you can see that I have two options for this, a slip or a table. So if I press go, what this will do is it will create a report that has all of the slips that I would be passing in that week at the meeting. And what we can do is to actually take a pair of scissors, cut these out. These are the same size. They're formatted to be the same size as a referral slip. so that you can pass these in and be eligible for the door prize. That's one option. The second option is, again, the member for referrals would fill out an actual referral slip. They don't have to fill out all the information on it, but at least enough to know that you are eligible for the door prize, and something clearly indicating on the slip that it was passed online. So my recommendation is you take a big red X and put a big X right through the sheet to let your vice president know, or in the comments line you put in, passed online or entered on BNI Connect, something like that, so that it's very obvious to the vice president. Now, the vice president will have a special report that's available to them. It's actually still in the final phases of being developed, but we should have it ready by the time we go live on the 29th, and that will be a report that tells the vice president all of the activity that was passed online. So they'll be able to cross-reference that with the physical slips and look for duplicates if they exist. So hopefully that answers your guys' questions on that one. Meg, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
A couple things just to follow up with that, with what you were saying based on the questions we've gotten, Jeremy, is yes, you will go ahead and print those out and slip them into the basket if you do pass around a basket. In the case that it is printed out by you on your with your own printer, the other member will not get a copy in the meeting, obviously, because there won't be the duplicate slips, but they will get a copy within their email. So remember, they'll always get a copy within the email. Jeremy, we also have the question, what about members, or what about thank you for closed business for people who are no longer members or are visitors?
Yep, so visitors and thank you for closed business, those slips would need to be handed in physically at the meeting. So if you have a thank you for closed business and you're tracking that in your chapter for past members or visitors, you would still need to fill out a physical slip for that at the meeting and pass that in. We can only pass online slips to active members right now. Okay. So now I do see a comment up here and it says, so this method basically saves paper. That's really a very small portion of it. The real beauty of passing the slips online is what I'm about to show you. And that is the My Reports. So what you'll see down here is the My Thank You for Closed Business, My Referrals, My One-to-Ones, and My CEUs. And what this does is, I've been a member for 11 years. I've been passing referrals for 11 years. According to this system, I've passed 249 referrals over the last 11 years. Now, over that time, what I've always done is kept those little yellow, how we have the 3 forms. I've kept stacks and stacks of those yellow forms. Now, I've always wanted to go back and follow up on them, and it's kind of hard to do so unless I take them all and I put them into a spreadsheet or do some other method. Well, now we can do that all and track it online. So if I click on the My Referrals report, I can choose a date range. In this case, it's going to go back 1 month, and I can see all of the referrals that I passed online. And I can go through and look at them. I can see who I passed it to, when I passed it to them, and really go back and forth and follow up on these referrals. And also, it will show you the referrals that were passed to you and make sure that you have this information to follow up on. So this, to me, this is the key right here, because it takes my networking to a whole new level. I don't have to go back and look for this information anywhere else. Now, there has been some concerns and some questions that I've seen go by regarding HIPAA compliance and privacy. Nobody else has access to this report besides you. Only you can see the information in this report. The vice president can't see it. Myself as a system administrator, I can't go in unless I log in as you with your password. I can't see this information. So this is all private information. And the same thing with the rest of it. So I've always struggled with, oh my God, did I remember to pass that thank you for closed business to John in my chapter? Well, now I can go through and look and see all of the thank you for closed business that was passed. In addition, one-to-ones, keeping track of who I've had a one-to-one with. In this case, it's going to go back 6 months for me, and I can track and look at every single one-to-one that I've had over the past 6 months. So it's a great way to really take your networking to that next level and be able to go back, analyze your activity, and keep track of it from week to week, from month to month, and from year to year. Now, I didn't show you the one-to-one slips. Let me show you the one-to-one slips real quick. So here I'm going to select somebody from my chapter. And again, this is the same as a regular one-to-one. Now, somebody did bring up a question, and that how do we avoid duplicates? With the online slips, only one person of the one-to-one pair needs to enter the slip. So that's going to be a new practice. You're going to need to, when you're at a one-to-one with somebody, decide who's going to enter the slip. But let's say that you both go and try to enter the slip. So I entered a slip for Brian Fish just a couple of minutes ago before the webinar, and I put that, I met with him. And it doesn't matter what I put in these fields, but if it sees a conflicting date, and I put the one-to-one in for yesterday, it will let us know that there's another one-to-one in the system that matches this one entered, so that we know at that point that we don't have to enter that one-to-one. In addition, that one-to-one that was put in previously will appear in the My One-to-Ones report. So I can see right here that Brian Fish did enter a report for meeting with me on 10/15. So that's one way that we can avoid the duplication there. So what else?
All right, Jeremy. One more thing I want to mention. Just I'm watching all the questions. So this member module was created for people who love using the computer or would love to be able to pull out their iPad or their phones and pass referrals real quickly, to allow them not to have to do write everything down on paper once they actually get to the meeting. So the way that this has been built, it's been built so that for the people who gravitate towards the computer and want to use this module, 100% use the module. Somebody like me, I'd use this module. I'd never write something down on a piece of paper ever. Now, however, my cousin-in-law, who is a member in my region, he is a handyman. He has almost no computer time, or if he does have computer time, it's for invoicing or fun. And so I would not anticipate him ever using this member module. For those people who are not going to use the member module, we always will have the paper slips in place. It would be wonderful the day that everyone enters all of their referrals online and the vice president only has to click the submit button, but we realize that that is not a reality. So we will always be able to have the online electronic as well as the paper slip. The thing that's going to be very important, and the thing that's going to be very important for you to educate your members on a regular basis, is making this easier for the vice president by helping him or her differentiate between the slips that were passed on paper, that are legitimate slips passed on paper, and then the ones entered online. So that's why we would love it if everyone would always print out their personal meeting activity. So then when the vice president goes to sort everything out to enter the paper slips that are left, that they could take all of those white pieces of paper printed on generic paper, toss those aside because they know those have already been entered, and enter only the things for the people who are not going to be using the member module or the My BNI Business module.
So a couple of questions have popped up about mobile compatibility. One thing that I'm going to say, there is an app coming. We do not have an app yet, but it is in the discussion phases right now. So still in the discussion, planning, not hit programming yet. So we're still quite a few months away from it, but we will see an app or a fully mobile-friendly version of the site at some point in the relatively near future. That being said, we're trying our best to pay more attention to various functionality. I personally have tested the slip passing and entering the information on both I have an Android operating system, so I have my Droid phone and my Android tablet, and all of this functionality, with the exception of configuring my shortcut screens, seem to work okay on my devices. But I'm saying that with a huge caveat. It is not specifically designed, it is not specifically tested at this time to work on a mobile platform. Anything that we do get on a mobile platform right now is kind of an added bonus. But it does seem to be working on the Android operating system, and I'm pretty sure another member of the team went through and tested it on his iPad as well, and it seems to be working pretty well there also. So, what other questions do we?
So one of the other questions we have: can we use this tool to send a referral to a member of another chapter?
Excellent. So the answer to that is maybe. There is the ability for all of these slips built into the system that we can track this information cross-chapter. And what you'll see, and I'm going to put a very, very big caveat in front of this. Some regions in the world track this information, and some regions do not. So please talk to your director consultant or your executive director about this functionality, whether or not it will be supported in your region or not. If it is supported, there is a button here that says search cross-chapter on all of these slips except for CEUs. And it would give you the ability to search for somebody that is in another chapter. So there's somebody in my region, Joe Grimes. If I wanted to pass a referral to Joe Grimes, I would put a couple of letters of his first name, last name. It shows me his information. It shows me that he's in the BNI CityBiz chapter. This is his company. And I can select him and choose him for the person that I'm passing a referral to. So to answer your question, again, it may or may not be available in your area. You really need to talk to your director consultant and your executive director if you have an opinion either way about that. It's not something that we're going to be getting into the discussion of today.
So we had another question from someone saying they have a senior center that they get referrals from on a regular basis. I guess it's a relationship they got through BNI. Can they be added as a member so that they can track the number of referrals on the new customizable landing page?
My answer to that is that tracking referrals is a privilege of membership. If they would like to legitimately join a chapter and become part of the BNI referral network, then you will be able to track those referrals.
And I'll add that sometimes there are relationships that, well, let me say this. Let's say the senior center was a previous member and you'd like to track the referrals that you're getting from previous members. At the end of this year / beginning of 2013, it's going to be right at the beginning of the new year, we will have the tool, the referral tracking sheet tool, added to the system as well, and you might be able to track those types of things there.
Right.
Jeremy, we have a general BNI question.
Oh, bring it on.
Do you enter the total amount of the sale or the commission from the sale when you're reporting thank you for closed business?
According,
take that one.
well, yeah, I mean, I've always been taught that it was the net amount to the business.
And I will add to that, there is a Slips program document that was just produced this year that actually has a fantastic explanation with examples of how you track thank you for closed business for the different types of industries. So Jeremy is right. We get a little confused when we talk gross versus net and things like that. That's why they did produce a document for that. So I would recommend talking with your director consultant or executive director to get your hands on that Slips document. All right.
Yep. And we do have, if you were on our side of the screen, what you would see is about 200 questions that are scrolling through. We're trying to go through and pick the unique questions out, and if we miss your question somehow, I really apologize. There's just, with about 300 people on the webinar, there are a ton of questions, so we are trying to get through them all as quickly as possible.
So Jeremy, how do you handle thank you for closed business slips for a former member or visitor? Did we touch on that one?
We did. So
Is there a generic thank you for closed business for the chapter?
yep, right now for thank you for closed business to a past member or a visitor, what you do need to do is actually fill out a paper slip at the meeting, and your vice president would enter that onto the BNI or the visitors line on the POMS report.
So if you forget to put in a referral slip this week, next week, do you change the date on the slip to reflect 10/16, or is the date locked in as the current day?
So the date will always be locked in to the POMS report week that the slip was entered for, just the same way as if you were to miss a meeting and you turned in the slip the following week. So it will always be up until the point that week is closed out, and it will be added to the POMS report for that particular week.
Okay, very good.
So I think I saw a question earlier, what are CEUs? CEUs, and I don't think I went into this slip, so let me show you the CEU slip. And what CEUs are chapter education units. Just like continuing education units in any other business, accountants and lawyers and healthcare providers, in networking, we need to do the same thing. We need to constantly sharpen our saw, and that's what this tracks. It tracks going in and learning more about networking. So there's a point system that's involved with it that roughly relates to the number of hours that you've invested in learning about networking. So listening to one of the CDs or reading SuccessNet, well, it takes about an hour. So the quantity for that is 1. And podcasts, listening to 5 podcasts, they're about 10 minutes apiece. That's about an hour. So that would be 1 credit as well. Member Success Program, Leadership Team Training, Advanced BNI Training Module, so on and so forth, all of these. And again, this will auto-calculate for you. So if I managed to read 2 books last week, it will give me the 10 CEU credits towards my profile. Once I submit that, it will then show up on my CEU report as well. So I can see my CEU report, and we can see the things that we've turned in for CEU training and our total CEUs. So hopefully that answers your question. And on
Jeremy, if we're not going to be passing slips during the meeting, how are we going to award the door prize?
Again, for door prize drawing, there are 2 ways that you can handle this. The first of which is to print out your personal meeting activity report. And we click Go. And you can see here in this report that it generates slips that are the same size as a referral slip that you'd pass in the meeting. So what you could do is to take this slip, cut it out, and bring it to the meeting and pass this into the fishbowl or into the hat or whatever else that you might pass around at your meeting. Since the person receiving the referral already has all the information, there's really no reason to have triplicates of this particular slip. And there's also no need to have color because, again, the only reason to pass this in is to be able to be pulled for the door prize. You'll notice on this report also, the rest of this information, again, you don't have to pass in, but it's organized for you so that you can announce all the various parts of it. So you have these referrals, you're going to drop those into the bowl, and then you're just going to announce, well, I have thank you for closed business, thank you to Christy Armstrong for 1,000, Carrie Gannon for 500, Linda Macedonio for 5,000, and Michael Ferry for 5,000. I had 3 one-to-ones with Brian Fish, Mike Moffitt, Brian Fish again, and then I had a whole lot of CEUs last week. I spent about 200 hours in training. So if you forget to print out this report, all you need to do is to fill out a regular referral slip, who it was to, who it was from, and somehow annotate that slip. Work with your vice president. Maybe your chapter can do an educational moment on it that says, put a big red X through the middle of the form, or write in the comments, entered online. So hopefully that helps.
All
There's,
right.
there's also a
Perfect.
question while we're on the topic about reality checks. And again, you can use those slips for reality checks, as well as there's going to be a report that I can't show you today because we don't have it yet, but there will be a report that will list the referrals that were passed that you'll be able to use both for keeping a balance sheet of online versus paper slips, as well as for reality checks.
So I'm going to mention this for the vice presidents. As vice presidents start to really use this, what our hope is that they're going to really start to trust the system, and that they'll be able to trust that when things are entered online, and also be able to trust the members to know that members aren't going to be going online and trying to put in paper slips to get double counting and all those things. So what our hope is we've given vice presidents all the tools to be able to know where every slip comes from. But what our hope is that pretty soon they'll trust that the online ones are done and entered properly, so they won't have to think about those any longer. In the region that's using this on a regular basis, 80% of the slips are entered online, and the vice president literally tosses aside all of those slips that were entered online that they've gotten for the door prize, and they only enter those last 20%. So it really helps the vice president a lot in that region to not have to enter every single slip going forward. We also, Jeremy, have another big concern about thank you for closed business coming from visitors and past members. And I'm going to take this one. As a business analyst for this project, we realize that not having a visitor option and a BNI option is a big challenge. So we will be working on that in the near future to add that so that you can pass online to other BNI members and to visitors, so we can track that thank you for closed business going forward. One other question we have is, if you get a paper slip, can that be transferred into the system to continue tracking?
And the answer to that is I'm not sure if you're saying by the vice president, or if you're passing the slip into the vice president cannot enter the slip for you in order for further tracking. The only person, and again this goes back to the whole HIPAA and privacy things, the only person that can enter the slip and fill out this information and store it online is you. So the vice president, if you're passing in paper slips, can only enter the actual numbers into the POMS report. For those of you that would like to track the information and be able to follow up on it later, you do need to use the online slips in order to do so.
And then again, at the end of this year, you'll be able to, whenever you receive a paper slip, you will be able to add that to your referral tracking sheet, so you can track the referrals that you've received that way. Jeremy, our frequently asked question, when will we be getting an app?
I wish I had a crystal ball and I could give you guys a date on that one. I'm just as excited for an app, I think, as everybody else is, but I do not have that crystal ball. I can tell you that the project board, the way that this project works is that we have our support team, the people that are working on this project on a daily basis, which is about a dozen of us, and then there's a project board that helps to define the mission and make decisions on how to spend the money on the various things that we're putting in and what order to put them in on, and then there's an executive board as well. So right now it is in the discussion phases with the executive board and the project board. I'm not sure exactly when we are going to get it. I do know it will be in the quote-unquote near future.
Okay, are there any concerns about the email notifications for referrals being marked as spam and the member never seeing them?
My only suggestion there is to make sure that you whitelist at bniconnect.com and at bniconnectglobal.com, and that should manage to get all of the notifications that come from BNI Connect through. There are a couple of different addresses that the emails come from. One is notifications at bniconnectglobal.com, another is do not reply. But if you can whitelist an entire domain, I would highly suggest whitelisting at bniconnect.com and at bniconnectglobal.com. Those are the two domains that we use in order to allow those emails to come through.
And again, at the end of the year, we'll have that referral tracking sheet. So all referral slips entered online will automatically go into that referral tracking sheet, so you'll know that you've received them there as well. Jeremy, what is the span? Who is going to be having this My BNI Business turned on when we get started?
Right now, the United States will definitely have this module turned on. Anybody outside of the United States that might be on this call, I do know that we have recognizing some names from South Africa and I believe also Norway or Sweden. You're going to have to talk to your national director about when they will be turning it on, if not on October 29th. Again, for the U.S., we are turning this on. This will be made live. There will be a bit of downtime on October 29th, Monday morning, October 29th. In the U.S., the system will be off while we perform this upgrade until about noon Eastern time. That's generally the time frame, which is until about 9 o'clock in the morning on the Pacific coast. And as soon as that system comes back up around that time, we'll have this module. You'll have this all available to you. And I think within an hour, we're going to be doing another webinar like this to show people how to use it. The difference is you'll be able to log right in side by side and take a look at it right away.
Hey, Jeremy, have we taken a look did you click on My Thank You for Closed Business to show that report yet?
Sure, I can click on it and show it again if not. So this is the My Thank You for Closed Business report. Again, by default, it's choosing 6 months, but you can change the date on all of these reports. So, I mean, if you want to go back 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, obviously right now it's only going to have, and when you start on October 29th, it won't have any information in it because you haven't passed any slips yet online. But as soon as you start tracking it, and a year from now, yes, you can go back a year and pull all of the information, or just a month or a quarter, however you want to track that for your business. So you just pick a date, and I'm going to do, in this case, 8 months worth. And again, it will show us all of the thank you for closed business, what type, whether it was repeat or new business, and who the thank you was given to. Now, I don't think I mentioned this before, but you'll notice there's a new field in here that we've never tracked before. And that is thank you for closed business received. So for those of you that want to track the amount of money coming into your business, whenever you put a thank you for closed business in for somebody else, it will add that to your thank you for closed business received. So now we'll start to be able to track the amount of money coming into our business as well.
Jeremy, how are these things populated? So thank you for closed business received is populated when, and then when are all the other ones populated?
All of the numbers up here, so up in this top section, all of those numbers are populated only when your vice president verifies and submits the POMS report. So as soon as they do that submission of the POMS report, whether it's the day of your meeting, right after your meeting's done, you know, some may do it the day before the next meeting, some may do it the day after or when they have time to do it. But as soon as they submit that POMS report, these numbers here will be updated. Your My Reports down here, those will have all the information in it right away. So again, the numbers up on top have to be verified and submitted by your vice president. The ones at the bottom, you will see immediately in your personal reports.
All right, great. Jeremy, why are we tracking who initiated the one-to-ones?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
On the slip for entering one-to-one slips, it asks who is initiated by, and I'll answer this one. We used the exact model that was on the headquarters created slips, so we did follow that. In some areas, they do track who invited the person and who initiated that one-to-one. So I think, and that's the reason why we have that. There's several questions about referral tracking. The referral tracking and being able to add comments and knowing when you followed up with a one-to-one or with referrals and things like that, all of that will be coming with the referral tracking sheet. Here's a great suggestion. Will the one-to-one screen also send the one-to-one meeting profile to the other person by email? I will add that to my list of suggestions that we can consider for the future.
Yeah, I think a gains exchange button would be an awesome feature to put in here someday.
All right. One other question, and this is a rather technical question, I think, Jeremy. How is the data tracked in the database? So what is this data used for? Should we have any concerns about how the data is stored? And yeah, should we have any concerns?
From a HIPAA compliance and privacy, no. All of the information in here is completely personal. It is not accessible by anybody else other than you. And in the case of a referral where you're passing the referral information back and forth between you and the person you're referring to. So we don't have access. I don't have access to any of your referrals that you pass in the system. And again, I have godlike access in the system, and I can't access your information. Only you and your referral source have access to the names that are in the referral slip.
Okay.
So I do see one question on here from Frankie. It looks like he would like some more information about the customizable landing page. And Frankie, do you have any specific questions, or would you like me to just show the landing page again if you might have missed it earlier? So just let me know.
So someone wrote, will the VP be able to see the referral info on the report to double check? I think we covered that, but I want to make sure. When you open up the draft POMS report, in fact, Jeremy, I guess we can show that draft POMS report of all the things you've created. When you open up that draft POMS report, there will be a button where it's called the Slips Audit Report. There'll be a button there that you can click on to see. At first, you'll only see the numbers, but after that, you'll actually see, you can click on that to see the details of everything that's been entered online.
So you can see that the numbers that I'm the only one passing referrals in my chapter online right now, but you can see that some numbers have already been entered into the POMS report. And what we'll see as soon as the report is ready is a button up here that will give us the ability to go and look at the online slips that were passed. It'll show us, what type of slip it was, who it was from, and who it was to, the amounts, basically the same things that you would be entering here on the form, so that you can cross-reference back and forth between the online slips and the slips that are scattered all over your desk as you're trying to enter them into the POMS report to all of you vice presidents that are on the line with us today.
Okay. The thank you for closed business report, they are saying, is that showing who got the money? Your my thank you for closed business report is actually showing all of the all of the money that you have received and entered in. So you are thanking the other person for that thank you for closed business. So it will show you all of those things that you've entered. Let's see. Jeremy, I don't think we covered this. When you can do cross-chapter referrals, what are the limitations there? Can I pass it pass a referral to another country?
At this time, if cross-chapter, and this goes back to, because some regions will be using cross-chapter referrals and some regions won't be using cross-chapter referrals, some countries will be using and some countries won't. At this time, you're only going to be able to pass, if you are using cross-chapter referrals, you'll only be able to pass them within your particular region, so the chapters within that unit there. So for example, I'm in the Rhode Island, southeastern Massachusetts area. I will only be able to pass cross-chapter referrals with the 50 or so chapters that are in my region. I could not necessarily pass a referral or a thank you for closed business or a one-to-one with Meaghan's region, who happens to be in Alabama.
And when you actually pass those reports, so let's say you and I are both in Rhode Island, and I'm in a different chapter than you, and you pass me, thank you for closed business. How does the reporting work on the draft POMS report?
So what should happen, I believe, in that case is that if you pass me a cross-chapter thank you for closed business, or a one-to-one, or a referral, both sets of POMS reports get updated. So in the case of a thank you for closed business, I would have that thank you for closed business added to the POMS report in my chapter. In the case of a one-to-one, we're both going to get a tick mark in our POMS report for having a one-to-one that particular week. And in the case of a referral, again, Meaghan would get a referral given, and I would get a referral received in my POMS report.
So we've got the question, since thank you for closed business is supposed to be anonymous, does my thank you for closed business show just the amount and not who it was submitted to? We've kind of covered this, but I want to make sure we cover that one thoroughly.
So the thank you, you take this one, Meaghan, as the business analyst.
So when you're entering your thank you for closed business, when you're entering the slip, obviously you know all of the details about that information, okay, right? You're the one that's receiving the money, you know who to thank and those whole things. When you enter that, the thank you for closed business received will automatically be updated. Remember, thank you for closed business received is only seen by you. It is not seen by everyone. It's only seen by you. So that is completely kept confidential. On the enter thank you for closed business slips, all of the information that you would be entering in on a regular paper slip will be in that report. But again, those reports are only seen by you. They're not seen by anyone else in the region. So it is still completely confidential. Even though it is in a computer system, it's completely confidential. Okay, let's see. So, someone asked, how many CEUs is this webinar?
I would check with your director, consultant, or executive director to see how they track these particular webinars, because I know it doesn't say on the slip right now BNI Connect webinar. Generally speaking, this would equate to a 1 hour credit for CEUs, but please don't quote me on that. Check with your executive director or your director consultant for your chapter before you turn in a slip for that one.
So Jeremy, this is from the Vice President's perspective. If you happen to miss a couple of weeks getting your POMS data in, and you go in to enter several weeks in a row, how is it reported? How does the system work that?
So the system goes by the date that the slip was entered. So slips entered in between your meeting dates will go into the proper week's report. So again, just kind of like if you were to fill out a paper slip during the week and you bring it into the meeting that week, the system knows when it was entered and will apply it to the correct report for that week. The only time that changes for you VPs out there, if you have a holiday week for the meeting and you don't meet that week, or it was a snow day or something like that, then those slips would roll forward to the next meeting's POMS report, just like they would in real life.
Okay. We have a couple of other questions.
Yeah, we have about 3 minutes yet, and I do want to make sure that we end on time. And I would always be, again, this is what I do all day, every day, so I am always happy to stay on these webinars as long as people still have valid questions or would like to learn more. But I do want to make sure that we end on time for anybody that does want to leave and get on to their next appointment.
Okay, Jeremy, is there a test system available for people who want to do some extra training or play around with the system?
There will be an email for those of you that are executive directors and director consultants on the call. There will be an email going out today to executive directors, and we will have some limited access to the testing system, the system that I'm using right now. It is not as high-powered as our BNI Connect global system is. So it can't handle 100,000 people jumping on it, or even 5 or 10,000 people jumping on it at once. It will crash the system. So we are going to be making it available to a small number of people, to the executive director teams that would like to use this on a limited basis for some training. An email will go out to executive directors sometime later today. So if you're a director consultant, please talk to your executive director and ask them about that. They should know by end of business today about that.
One thing we didn't go over, how are visitors entered?
Yes, visitors will be entered by the visitor host or leadership teams. And again, that is done through, if we go to our shortcut menus, I added add a visitor here. You can also get there by going to Operations Chapter. And then we're going to go to add a visitor, manage visitor, add a visitor. Now, this has had an amendment to it as well, in that if your region allows it, you can allow cross-chapter referrals of visitors, and or the person from your chapter that invited them is now a mandatory selection field. This is now tied in with the POMS report. So the person that had a visitor, brought a visitor to the chapter, the visitor host then enters the visitor into the system, and they will get credit for it in the POMS report for that upcoming week.
And then
Okay.
you mentioned that all of the draft POMS data is completely editable. So if I am a member of your chapter and you know that half of my referrals aren't any good.
Yes, so vice presidents, vice presidents, you still have full control over the POMS report. You can, if you know that there's incorrect information in the POMS report, you can go back and fix it. You can go back and adjust it, even at a later time if you need to. So we are at the top of the hour. We have about 30 seconds left. I would like to thank everybody for being here today. Again, after I stop the recording in a minute, I will stay online and answer any additional questions for people that want to hang out. But otherwise, I do want to thank everybody for being here today, and thank you for investing in this continued learning. Couple of favors. A good referral for me is if you could please go back to your chapter, let them know we still have a couple more of these webinars that are coming up teaching about using the system. We also have a ton of other webinars on various topics. If you go to support.bniconnect.com or your regional calendars, click on the question mark if you're in BNI Connect. It'll take you to support.bniconnect.com. You'll see all of our webinars listed right here on the homepage. We have another one today at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on the social media functions in BNI Connect. We also have a whole self-help section here that covers nearly every aspect of the system from a member level, and all of the recorded webinars are up here as well. So also, if you could, go to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global and give us a like there as well. We also do some social media communication through here. So webinar announcements, tips and tricks, things like that. So please go give us a like and communicate with us there. Again, thank you all for being here. Appreciate the time, and happy connecting, everyone. We'll talk to you very soon.